What's up, everybody? Welcome back to racingnews.com. Welcome back to another one of our previews. Let's go to Saratoga for this one. What a huge card coming up this Saturday. Let's go Saratoga on a Saturday, race 11. It is the Metropolitan Handicap, better known as the Met Mile. Field of 7 lines up for this one, of course, going 1 mile. Let's go through them one by one, try to get you a winner at the end. What a race this is, and what a card this is at Saratoga coming up here for Belmont Stakes Day, which is still weird to say, but that is what it is, right? This is going to be something really, really good field. Let's go through them one by one, and I'll put the entries up on the screen for you now so you can follow along. Number 1 is going to be Nysos, a horse that has 9 lifetime starts, 7 victories, 2 seconds. One of those second place efforts came last time out in the $20 million Saudi Cup, where he was indeed second in that race, but only beaten a length by Forever Young, a horse obviously with a ton of ability, one of the best horses we've seen in the last 10 or so years, especially good over in Saudi. He loves that racetrack. Talking about Forever Young, Nysos, he tried. He held him off for a long time. He just couldn't hold him off in that spot, but, great race. You don't get upset about that. His only other loss came off of a 1.5-year layoff back in May 3rd of last year, the Churchill Downs Stakes, where he didn't break very well. He kind of got a wide trip. The track was extremely sloppy. Like I said, 1.5-year break. He still only loses by a neck that day. Got beat by Mindframe and dead heated for second with Banishing in that spot. And again, the Churchill Downs Stakes ended up being one of the most productive stakes of the year. Mindframe went on to win races. Bookham Dano ran behind Nysos. He turned out to be a monster all year long. So those are the losses, and they were 2 really, really good losses. The rest of the races have been wins, and they've been very, very impressive. I went back and kind of checked my notes and checked the career of this horse. I've picked against Nysos exactly 1 time in 9 career starts, and it did come last time out where I did pick Forever Young to beat him there at Saudi. But his races in the United States, I've picked him every single time. I think the mile's going to be perfect. This is kind of I don't know what you would call this, a turn and a half, maybe. They kind of start on the turn there, and it's the Wilson Chute if you don't know it's Saratoga. So I think this is going to be perfect for him. I always kind of thought, man, the 1-turn mile he was going to be really, really tough at, and he's been tough at some 7 furlong, obviously 1-turn races there. Like I said, this is a turn and a half, but I think this is going to suit him really well. So Nysos, I think, is going to be very, very tough in here. The other thing is, with Bob Baffert, he's not shipping horses unless he believes they're ready to fire big races. And look, it's up to you and I and everybody else. If, hey, Nysos, his best race, is it good enough here? Hey, maybe not. It's a really tough field. But I do know, or at least I have confidence, I should say, that Nysos coming up here, it tells me Bob Baffert feels pretty good about his chances. The number 2 horse is Vibe. This could be an all-time bad decision, or it could be a brilliant decision. And what I mean by that is Vibe was entered last weekend in the Blame Stakes, a race that he would have been a heavy favorite. And after you watch the race run, you go, yeah, he probably would have won that race. He didn't run in it. He chose to come here where he's 15-1, the longest shot on the board. Now, you might say, man, he seems to be better than 15-1 in this spot, and maybe he will be, and maybe he can outrun his odds. But when you look at his resume, it is pretty light compared to the others. He does have 3 straight victories, including 2 straight victories at 1 mile, both 1-turn races, one at Gulfstream, an allowance, and then an allowance on Kentucky Derby Day at Churchill Downs, where he looked really good. I don't know about this spot. It's a really, really tough spot for him. It's a big ask to run your first stakes race right here in this spot. One of the best races I think we'll see all year. I don't know. I'm on the fence about what to do with him. I ultimately didn't play him, though. I think this is too quick for the number 2 Vibe. A horse I am interested in is the number 3 Antiquarian. This is a horse I've liked for a long, long time, and he finally put together a nice win in the Jockey Club last year. Yeah, it was his race 3 back where he looked really good. Didn't run well at all in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Came back off a long layoff to win the Westchester last time out at Belmont, the Big A, by 5 3/4, and I thought he was really, really good in that race. Good enough for me to think he actually has a shot here. I like Antiquarian, in this race. It's one of those things. There's so many good horses. that I'm having a hard time putting him on a ticket, but I kind of want to work him in eventually. Number 3, Antiquarian, I think shows up with a big effort here. And I loved the race at 1 mile. That was a really good Westchester last time out going a mile. And I think it sets him up for a pretty good race here. Another horse that I thought ran exceptionally well last time out is the number 4 Saudi Crown. This horse really kind of surprised me. Not that he won last time out in the Commonwealth, but just the way he did it, man. He was really, really good. That was a 7 furlong race there at Keeneland. He won by 2 3/4. I thought he was super, super impressive. Yeah, it's going to be interesting, right? A mile is something that he's done a few times, and varying degrees of success. He did win a 2-turn mile at Oaklawn Park last season. He's won a stakes at Ellis going 1 mile as well. But, the 1-turn aspect of it, we haven't seen him do it. We have, but it's been a while. He ran in a 1-turn mile at Belmont Park. Yes, they were running races at Belmont Park when he ran that one in the Dwyer. He got second beating a nose to Fort Bragg, and then got second beating a nose in the Jim Dandy after that, and they stretched him back out. And he's kind of been doing that for a while. He did run at a mile race at Medan. I don't really count those international races. It's kind of tough to get a feel for there. The other 1 mile races have been around 2 turns until the race 3 back at Churchill Downs. They tried a 1-turn mile for him back on June 29th in the Hanshin Stakes, and he just didn't show up and run that day. But I kind of think this suits him. I think we saw a really nice effort for him at 7 furlongs. I think we're going to see a decent effort from him in this spot as well. I don't mind Saudi Crown at all in this spot. Like I said, he's coming in off really good form. Both these races this year have been very good. Now, you got to step up. That's a big thing now. You got to step up in competition. But look, I think he's going to get a pretty decent trip. I think he'll be towards the front. I think he's one they're going to have to run down at the end. The number 5 is rated by Merit. This horse I loved as a 2-year-old, and he had 4 straight wins against the competition down there at Gulfstream Park. This was a Florida bred that was kind of taking on Florida bred horses. Went to Belmont at the Big A after a long layoff. It was off 300 days, got changed to Chad Brown, and then won a stakes race there on October 4th of last year. Then we didn't see him again for another 182 days. He ran in the Carter last time out. He got 4th, beaten 2 3/4. This looks like too much for him. I do like that down the road. I think this is a horse that's going to make sense somewhere. I couldn't make a lot of sense of him in this race, though. This was one that I passed by. The number 6 is Knightsbridge. Knightsbridge was a sensation down at Gulfstream Park this year. He won 3 straight grade 3 races, kind of blew out the competition. Not really much, much of an effort from anybody behind him. He just running in a race of his own. Kind of a negative, and what I'm worried about. I loved him last time out in the Churchill Downs, but I did, admit, hey, he's facing tougher, but he seems like he's ready for that. He was 6th in that race, beating 6 1/4. He did not look good in that Churchill Downs Stakes last time out at all. Now, that was a 7 furlong race, but, he'd been running a couple of races earlier this year. Well, first end of last year, I should say, at 7 furlongs, and he looked pretty darn good, so I wasn't overly concerned. I do think stretching back to a mile is going to help him here. I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about what to do with him. I also like the projected pace. I think he's going to be the horse in front. I think that'll help him as well. I think he's going to bounce back. Maybe he was just due for a little bit of a poor effort. I think he bounced back in this spot. I think he'll run better. I couldn't put him on top here, but I do think he's going to run better this time around. And then finally, the number 7 is Journalism. And I know a lot of people have been waiting for this horse to kind of cut back to a mile. He's ran a mile once, and it was his second career start. It was a maiden special weight at Del Mar. He was able to get the job done that day. And of course, that's a 2-turn race at Del Mar. And then immediately went to all, 2-turn races going longer, a mile 16th and longer, and then a mile and a quarter the last few races, mile and an eighth last time out. I know a lot of people have been really thinking this horse is more of the 1 mile type. He's got this situation with him where he always runs extremely well, but he hasn't been able to beat the top flight horses. You look at last time out, he got beat by Wida Barrio and Sovereignty. You look at 2 races back, Forever Young, Sierra Leone, Fierceness. 3 races back, he was beaten by Fierceness. He did win the Haskell. He beat Gosker and Goal Oriented. They're much, much better horses than those two. Look at the Belmont. He got beat by Sovereignty. Preakness, he won. He beat Gosker and Sandman. You're starting to see what I'm saying. There are much better horses in this race today. Kentucky Derby, he got beat by Sovereignty. The point I'm trying to make is when he's up against the very, very best, he still runs well. He's yet to beat the very, very best. And that is this starting to become a fact. I love Journalism. I think Journalism is one of my favorite horses in training. It is starting to become a fact of who's he ever beat. I mean, some good ones, right? He's beaten Baeza. He's pretty good. He did beat Baeza very early in his career. Baeza's a little better now. Also, Baeza really hasn't beaten like a great, great horse either, right? So he beat Barnes, but Barnes, what was he really? He beat Getaway Car. I love Journalism, but I feel like he's got a ton to prove here. And while we can speculate, and I'm kind of with the people speculating that, hey, I think a mile he's going to look good, we really have no idea what he's going to look like here in this one-turn mile. And so you could say that about a few other horses in here too, I know. But, man, I don't know. Like, I kind of thought Journalism, he'll be really tough here. And I still think he's going to be tough here. But once I saw them all line up against each other, I thought, man, I'm not going to go with Journalism on top. On top, I am going to go number 1, Nysos. I am excited to see what he does here. I think this is a race made for him. Even back when he was a 3-year-old, he kind of was like, man, a race like the Met Mile when he gets older, if he makes it there, that's a good race for him. He kind of felt like a mile and 16th was going to be his absolute best distance. And he's a Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile winner, and obviously he's won several big races at those distances. So I went number 1, Nysos on top. I do think this is a very, very big challenge for him, but I do have him on top. I put number 7, Journalism, in second. And for me, I just kept going back to, man, he, like when he faced Fierceness, let's say in the Pacific Classic, he got beat. It's like if a horse runs an elite type of race, I'm not sure Journalism can beat him. I think Nysos is more than capable of doing that. So I put number 7, Journalism, in second. I do really like him, but I couldn't get there on top with him. I went number 4, Saudi Crown, in third. I really liked his race last time out. I thought it was a very, very solid race from Saudi Crown last time out. And then I put number 6, Knightsbridge, in fourth. I think he will bounce back. I don't want to just throw him out after one bad race. I loved him last time. I'm going to stick with him and at least have him on a few tickets this time around. So I went 1, 7, 4, 6 in this year's running of the Met Mile. 1, 7, 4, 6. All right, guys, that'll do it for this preview. Hit that like button if you like it. Subscribe if you really like it. Want to get alerted anytime we do videos like this. And most importantly, good luck if you're betting Saratoga on Saturday.